Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Drew Goebel. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting. Good to see you, Mr. Goebel.
How you doing there, Mr. Lawrence?
I am okay. I think, fingers crossed, we have crossed over to spring. Do you think so?
I tell you what, Illinois, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And a week from now, it can be, in the 40s and 30s, but I'm loving this weather.
Mm-hmm.
I might mow the grass when I get home. So,
hey, there you go.
No, I love it. I think springtime it just makes you feel good.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was at a softball practice for my youngest last night and was catching your varsity baseball game just up the sidewalk and got a chance to see Ryan Pine take BCC deep and Josh Bass a big double. So boys are rolling, man. They look really strong this year.
It's been a fun season, and they are. I probably shouldn't even say this on the radio, but I love beating Bloomington Central Catholic. I mean, there's
a satisfaction in it. There is, yes.
Rivals. I mean, I like to beat Merle Forsyth, and and Adam, the superintendent, he can probably laugh. There's so seeing the guys last night, the baseball players win, it was fun, and Ryan Pine going deep, that was exciting. So it was an exciting game. Shout out to the team. Shout out to the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. We're rolling.
They are. Speaking of rolling, Mr. Goebel, we caught up a couple of months ago. Just kind of a series of just I don't want to say fluke events, but you had a series of just where you've got a lot of administrative openings in the district right now, and been working the last few months to fill those. Yes. That picture is starting to come together. What's going on there?
Yes, I am very excited for next year. We do have to wrap this one. This year is coming, but this year's coming to an end. We're about there, and we're gonna finish strong. But I am very excited about the things that are happening right now currently. For the last 2 years, Lincoln and Douglas. While I'm the superintendent of the entire district, obviously, Lincoln and Douglas does consume a lot of my time, energy. I'm at those two schools a lot. Honestly, before I came to the radio station this morning, I was at Douglas School for a little bit. So combining those two schools, we are restructuring. If you haven't heard that to the community, we are Lincoln and Douglas School. We will still have Lincoln and Douglas School. So the schools will. There will be kids in both schools, but Douglas School next year will only have preschool students. So the preschool students that are currently at Lincoln School, those teachers will be at Douglas next year. And then next year, all of the kindergarten and first grade teachers and the students will be in Lincoln next year. So what we have right now, they are called neighborhood schools. 2 schools, 2 neighborhoods, same grades. We will have what they call an attendance center, 2 attendance center for preschool, attendance center for Lincoln next year. So that is a huge change. I cannot thank the staff at both schools for the work that they have done to make that happen. This is not a small task. We have a restructuring committee that's been working very hard to make that happen. You just can't do this without teamwork. Part of that change is Mrs. Patrick has she's not gonna be the principal there next year. She's taking a job in another district. I'm happy for her. So we've had another principal that we've hired. Keith Creighton. He is currently at Decatur. He's at Dennis Elementary School. So that's where he's at right now. So Mr. Creighton is an assistant principal, and he's been doing that for about for 7 years. But the last night's board meeting.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday. Okay. I was going
to say Tuesday,
my days
yesterday.
Because I normally do the next day. So Tuesday, the board, approved Lisa Lang as the assistant principal at Lincoln School. And what is new about that, Lincoln or Douglas they've never had an assistant principal
Mhm.
ever.
Mhm.
Before Mrs. Patrick was there, Mrs. Beth Wickenhauser, she was the principal, and they literally bounced back and forth between the two schools. And I counted the blocks up the other day, and it's about 14 blocks.
Mhm.
So some people can think, well, it's only 14 blocks, but if there's a problem, if there's something, a student really needs some help at
Mhm.
either of those two schools, it's going to take about 5 minutes, which is not that big of a deal. But if a kid is having a rough time and the teacher needs instant support, 5 minutes is like an eternity.
Mhm.
It really is. And I feel bad for teachers that for over a decade, when they've been in that crisis and a kid's really having a rough time, and has not been somebody to jump in and kind of assist. So next
Mhm.
year we will have a principal and an assistant principal, and so that extra layer of support to help teachers, help kids.
Is that change stem from the shift to the attendance center shift, or was this necessary already? And they just so happened to be happening
I
simultaneously.
would say the teachers and the kids at both those schools, in my opinion, they've needed additional supports
Mhm.
for years.
Okay.
For years and years. I still keep in contact with Mrs. Wickenhauser, the previous principal,
Mhm.
and we actually go to church together. And the issues and the obstacles
Mhm.
that these are not new.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so combining the two schools does a myriad of things.
Mhm.
It helps with balancing. It helps provide supports for our special needs students. The principal is not bouncing back and forth
Mhm.
between the two schools. And that's not to say that Douglas School is going to be left in the dust. I want
Mhm.
to make sure the teachers and the community know that Douglas School, Lauren Johnson is the current coordinator. She's working on her director license.
Mhm.
So she's going to become the director, and as becoming the director, more responsibility,
Mhm.
more things that she's going to be able to do to
Mhm.
assist. And right now, again, Mrs. Johnson, the coordinator, soon to be the director, she is also bouncing back and forth between those two schools. So if there's an issue or something's up at one school and Mrs. Johnson happens to be at this school, it's
Mhm.
very difficult.
Mhm.
So I think
I didn't even think about streamlining that.
no, I think in many ways we have, and I keep saying this because sometimes you have to repeat things for
Mhm.
people. The teachers and staff at those schools are amazing,
Mhm.
amazing. But to use an analogy, let's just say I'm a really good swimmer,
Mhm.
I'm an amazing swimmer,
Mhm.
but I have weights on both of my hands,
Mhm.
and I have weights on both of my ankles, and I get thrown into the deep end. And I'm a great swimmer. But if I have these things on top of me and holding me, it's going to be hard for me to do my job.
Mhm.
It's going to be hard for me to swim, even if I'm an amazing swimmer,
Mhm.
because I have weights on. So what I've been trying to do for the last 2 years when I took over the superintendency, remove those weights
Mhm.
and also provide additional supports to help the teacher. And to use my silly swimming analogy, I'm going to throw you a kickboard, and
Mhm.
now you can zip across that pool way better than you did before.
Mhm.
But the most amazing teacher, without the proper supports, is gonna have a rough time. So the work that we're doing is to remove those barriers, remove those obstacles, add supports so the students can, so we can just all around we can do better.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, very quickly to revisit the administration side, you'll have to forgive me. Was there more openings, or was it just the Lincoln Douglas
yeah, just
School?
Mrs. Patrick,
Okay, sure.
like Paul Ranstead. This is his second year.
Mhm.
Give a shout out to Paul. He's doing an excellent job at CES. He's relatively new.
Mhm.
Becca Ewell, she is the assistant principal, so she's been there for a couple years.
Okay.
Mrs. Patrick did take a position in another school district,
Mhm.
so I had to fill that one.
Mhm.
So that is the new just for this year. Mr. Peck and Mrs. Witt, they've been at the junior high for a while.
Mhm.
And Mr. Wayne and Mr. S,
Mhm.
he's been at the high school. They've been at the high school for years.
And
So
you're gonna have to fill those jobs in a year or
next
two
year we're
here.
going to have
Yeah.
to fill those. So So the newest one is Mrs. Lang, Lisa, and she comes from Lincoln, not Lincoln School, Lincoln, Illinois. She's an elementary, and I tell you, I kind of feel like we did score huge with Lisa because she is currently at Lincoln an instructional coach. So that's something else that Clinton School District has added for next year. So Lisa is going to come in.
What school she had over there?
I think it's Lincoln 27. I think the elementary school.
Oh,
district.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it there's Washington Monroe. There's.
I'm not positive.
We're really digging. We're really getting in the weeds now.
I know that she, as the coach, she services many different. She's not at one building, so she kind of helps out. So that with having Lisa Lang come in with that background, we have a brand new coach that has never been a coach. So I think, with Lisa being an assistant principal with that coaching background, I kind of feel we got two coaches. We have a coach, and then we also have Cassie Mann, who's also coming from Decatur, who's worked with Mr. Crichton. So we have Cassie and Keith, both from Dennis. Keith will be the principal. Cassie will be the instructional coach. And then you have Lisa Lang, that's from Lincoln, the town of Lincoln, coming over, who's currently a coach. So I think those three additional supports.
It's almost like cross training in a way.
I was talking to somebody the other day about if I will be shocked in a couple years if Clinton School District, if our test scores don't go through the roof, because we are struggling right now. Our test scores are not the greatest. I can't deny it. I can't bury my head in the sand. They are not good. And that's not new. That we've been struggling for many, many years. But I don't think the right supports have been in place. And now that these things are happening, I will be shocked if we don't see drastic improvements because I'm always using analogies and maybe I shouldn't, but if I was, if I was let's say I was going to start working out and watch my weight and just try to be super healthy for 6 months. And I worked out and I watched and I just really focused on my health for 6 months. And I looked exactly the same. I didn't lose any weight. I didn't have any muscle tone. I looked that wouldn't make any sense. That's not logical in my thinking. So I look at all the changes, the positive things that we're doing at Lincoln and Douglas School. There's no way that we're not going to see remarkable benefits from this. And again, it's going back to my silly analogy with the swimming pool and the weights. I think there have been so many obstacles that have kept teachers from teaching. And I feel like the changes that we're doing are going to fix that. And I can't wait.
Very good. Yeah. Well, on that note, Mr. Goebel, let's take a break and come back with some more. Drew Goebel, Superintendent of Clinton Schools, our guest in studio today. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Looking for a provider who puts your health first? SIU Family Medicine is accepting new patients. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your first appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know. Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Drew Goebel. He's the superintendent of Clinton Schools. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting, and not so much following up the meeting on Tuesday, Mr. Goebel, but a conversation that is starting to be had with your peers on our show is and I think this will become a larger conversation as we get into next year and start to maybe evaluate curriculum and those sorts of things, is the necessity of technology in the classroom. You know, schools have really leaned into iPads, Chromebooks, the Windows laptops. The districts have really leaned into all this technology. At the same time, studies are coming out about, you know, kids and their screen time and, you know, all these things. And it's now leading to a conversation of, is adding another hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, kids are in front of a device in the classroom, is that necessary given their exposure to devices at home? How do you feel about this? What do you have to say?
I'm glad you asked this question. So at Tuesday's board meeting, and this is kind of what started it. Our school has iPads, so we use an iPad lease, and so we had to transfer money to essentially pay for the iPads, and we do this every year. So that's boring stuff to talk about, but it did start the conversation about iPads and technology, and to your point, the amount of time kids are on devices. And I would say this. I am pro technology. I think to say that we need to get technology out of the classrooms, there's no way. That's never going to happen. But I think with everything in life, you need balance. You know, if you only eat junk food, that's not good. But if you never, you know, you need to have a balanced diet. And I think, you know, just like in the classroom, like I think if you are only on devices and kids aren't having the opportunity to have conversations and talk and collaborate with each other and put the devices away, I think you're really doing a disservice. I think kids need to learn how to communicate and talk to one another. And if they can't do that, kids need to be able to know how to stand up in front of a class and present and speak, because everyone's not good at that. I honestly don't. That's something that I don't love doing. I don't like getting in front of big, huge crowds and talking. It's just not one of the things that I like to do, but I have to do it. And it's just kind of one of those like things that you have to learn. So if you're not good at, say, public speaking, you're never going to get better unless you do it. And unless we provide opportunities for students to do those things. Now, some kids are going to flourish with technology and they're going to be really good with it, but other kids aren't. I think in the world right now with AI is another an example of an amazing tool. Like cell phones and iPads and all that, they're great. You know, all the technology that, you know, right now, if there's a meeting in Chicago and I don't have to go to Chicago anymore. I can do a Zoom or a Google Meet, whatever you want to call it, and I can have a meeting and I can see the person on the screen. I kind of think like Back to the Future, you know, when you're talking, you know, and it works. And I think doing a virtual meeting is better than just a phone call. But I think face to face, when you can actually meet them, is probably better. But you can't always do that.
Right.
You can't always do that. That doesn't always work out. So I think there's good and bad. Same thing with the internet. There's a lot of great things. If I'm driving somewhere and I don't know how to get there, by golly, I'm glad I have my cell phone.
No question.
Because I can plug in the address and it can tell me where to go, and it's great. But you know what? There's a lot of bad things on the internet. And you know, really, I think this is our school district does put filters and to protect kids on our devices. So, and gosh, the name of the service that we have has slipped my mind. But the school district has a service to protect our kids because there are dangerous things out there. But again, we can't control the kid's device. So if mom and dad aren't protecting their kids, if they're not monitoring and looking around and doing all those, you know, that's dangerous. So
Mhm.
you have to balance
Mhm.
technology.
Is this something the district will start to look at, or is
no,
this something?
we look at it now. We already are trying to make that balance. I don't want teachers to use technology, depending on what the class is. Like if you're teaching a technology class, that's a different story altogether. But it's kind of like, in the wood shop class, they should be using the machine, the
Right.
saws.
Right.
But I think teachers should be. I would say all teachers should be using technology at some degree, but how much are they using it?
Mhm.
Something that the junior high does is as soon as the kids get to school, they put their cell phones in their locker.
Mhm.
So they can't have them
Mhm.
during the school day. Even if they get tempted to use it, they can't. It's in the locker.
Mhm.
I think that's good. The high school, they can have them on it, but then they stick them on the little door caddies
Mhm.
so they're in the classroom, but they don't have accessible to them. So
Right.
we're trying to limit what that technology is,
Mhm.
because we provide them their iPad.
Mhm.
The high school, we provide them the Surface Pro.
Mhm.
So we give them what they need, so they don't need their personal cell phone.
Mhm.
Again, it's all about balance. It's about how you use what you have.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it sounds like this is something the district has already kind of considered, and is working on. On that note, Mr. Goebel, I got to let you go. I can't believe next month we talk, we're going to be coming up on the end of the school year. It's right around the corner. Thanks for coming out this morning.
You bet. Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Drew Goebel, Superintendent of Clinton Schools, my guest on the in the studio here for this morning, following up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
With SRN News, I'm